Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Goon Lameth Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock. And guys, we are just going to dive right on in. Here we go. Smackdown live tonight. And yeah, we started it off with let's do it. So we started it off, and don't worry, guys, it's just a second. It's just see if my thing will respond. And I'm actually using my cell phone, so that's why bear with me, and I apologize in advance. I was trying to get everything all situated and
Welcome to
ready to
my
go.
world, MF. Now you know how I feel.
Yeah, but I'm using the cell phone. It's not
Ah,
like I'm using a computer.
oh, okay.
That's a little bit of a different
Different animal.
situation.
Yeah.
So
But
there we go. Got it.
all right.
All right. Took a second for it to kick. Like I said, here we go. Smackdown Live. So, we started it off with the first thing of the night, which was, see, there we go. Now it should kick. Get this ad out of the way, hopefully. And yeah, here we go. All right. So we started it off with Ricochet going one on one with Happy Corbin, and the one and only gets the win. 11 minutes and 50 seconds. Uh, it was okay. Now, first off, at the very beginning, they were talking about the Pat McAfee match with Happy Corbin, and they were laughing, joking about a particular segment in the match where, if you remember, that was when Charles Robinson got taken out at ringside, and the next thing you know, Ricochet, or I should say, Pat McAfee decided, let's play a little football, and decides to go kick below the belt on Happy Corbin. That set it up for the Code Red and the win. Well, they were replaying it time after time after time after time, getting a little laugh, got the laughing from the guys in the back. Happy Corbin's like, it wasn't funny. That's not funny. Ricochet disagreed, thought, it was pretty hilarious. And, I got to say, I had a lot of fun with that. Well, Corbin's like, you know what? Then why don't I, and Ricochet's like, you know what? If you want to knock that smile off my face, why don't you do it in the ring, one on one? All right, bet. Here we go. And Ricochet wins. And on top of that, Pat McAfee shows the love to the one and only Ricochet. Hey, Ricochet gets a win on main roster win on SmackDown. I don't think we would have saw that with McMahon running around. And Ricochet, everybody knows, former North American champion. Actually, I believe first ever North American champion in NXT history. I could be wrong. It could have been Adam Cole.
It was Adam Cole.
All right, I stand corrected then. But at the end of the day, big win. So Ricochet knocks off Corbin. Hey, I would say it was about 3 stars. I thought it was a solid fight. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah. Just to set the record straight, Adam Cole was the inaugural NXT North American champion, winning in that insane ladder match at Takeover New Orleans, and Ricochet took it off of Adam Cole.
So he was the second ever champion.
Yeah, it was the Takeover in Brooklyn. That's when the one and only won the North American Championship. And he's also, let's not forget, also a former United States heavyweight champion and an Intercontinental heavyweight champion. So he's done all right for himself. I mean, not as overly successful as we were hoping he would be, but I think he's finally getting that rub now that the King of Kings is running the show. And he had his fingerprints all over this one tonight, especially at the end, if you know what I mean. But anyways, I'm going to give this about 3.25, teetering on 3.5. I mean, this was a fun, somewhat unexpected way to kick off the show. Pat McAfee, let me say this, is so likable and is a mainstream media personality, so it would make sense that the creative team would want to capitalize on his popularity among the WWE fans and feature him early. It came at the expense of a top heel who was perpetually over with fans and featured Ricochet, one of the many, many underutilized talents of his generation, scoring a much-needed win. The one and only is one of Triple H's guys dating back to his days in NXT. He is the former United States and Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, but somehow feels like he has only scratched the surface of what he is capable of achieving in WWE. His utilization in hyping the crowd off and creating energy from the opening match may prove telling of the new head of creative's plans for him moving forward. Could be the beginning of some bigger and better things for the man that MF would always call half man and half amazing. And after Corbin vowed to wipe the smile off Ricochet's face, the confident one and only told the heel he and his smile would be waiting for him in the ring, and then Corbin launched Ricochet. But there's one moment in this match that really stood out to me. I don't know if MF saw it, but Bullock and I damn sure saw it during our Smackdown chat tonight. Did you see that backdrop? Did you see how high Ricochet up was in the air? That had to be, 9-10 feet in the air at least? I mean, hoy. Corbin launched Ricochet high in the air with that nasty back body drop. And then after the match, Pat McAfee was punting footballs into the crowd. He still got it. That's all I can say on that. He still got it when it comes to the punting. So, but anyways, 3 1/4, teetering on 3 1/2, sleeper fight of the night, and a nice win for Ricochet. And all I can say is, Phenom, Michael Bullock, come on in. I mean, biggest win for Ricochet in quite some time. About damn time. He was underutilized when McMagma was running things, but now that the King of Kings is running the show, I think this could be the beginning of perhaps some bigger and better things for the one and only.
Yeah, like you said, if McMahon was still running things, then I think Happy Corbin would have been the one going over here. But obviously, Triple H running things now. I think things are going to be different here, and I think hopefully bigger and better things will be coming for Ricochet somewhere down the line, especially after a win like this. So I'll give it 3.5 here. I mean, this was a solid and surprisingly good way to start off this match. Start off this show. Basically, Corbin didn't like that Ricochet was poking fun at him, and he said, "You know what? If you got a problem with it, let's go into the ring and take care of it." And that's what they did. And this definitely had Triple H's fingerprints, and this was just the first of one of two things that had Triple H's fingerprints. We'll get into the other one later on. So, nothing more to say. Let's move right along.
Next up, we had was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ludwig Kaiser. If Nakamura wins, he gets an Intercontinental Championship title match. Guys, we don't need a championship committee for this one. Nakamura wins. Not only does he get the shot, he gets it next week on SmackDown. SmackDown next week, it will be Shinsuke Nakamura versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. Anthony Florio, Nakamura wins in 8:45.
8:45. The match was perfectly acceptable wrestling that was hampered by the untimely commercial break midway through. Ludwig Kaiser never had the chance to establish a real heat period because so much of his stuff occurred off camera. Shinsuke Nakamura winning not only sets up the title match that had been teased for the last month, but ensures Gunther's mistreatment of Kaiser will continue. It and Kaiser eventually standing up for himself is the real money program, not the Nakamura match. Hopefully Triple H and company recognize that. This was the second longer match on the show, something a long time coming. The talent is there. Why not let them do what they do? Honestly, And you notice Nakamura taunted Gunther after the match, defiantly standing face-to-face with the man he will challenge for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship next week on Friday Night SmackDown when it emanates live from the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, the home of the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's all there is to say on that. So I will give this about 2.5, teetering on 2 3/4 of a star for the effort. So outcome was never in doubt. We all had a feeling Nakamura was going to get it here. So especially with the story they got going with Gunther and Kaiser. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Nakamura, Gunther, Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship match next week in Raleigh.
Yeah, 2.5 is my rating for this match. We don't have to wait for a committee moment here, and Nakamura with a win here, and now he gets the Intercontinental title shot, and he's going to get it next week against Gunther. So, and I'll tell you this right now, if he becomes the Intercontinental Champion, can you guys imagine how crazy Pat McAfee will go if that happens? Oh my goodness. It'll be like a big time celebration with the two of them. I think
imagine what he's gonna do. Imagine what he's gonna do when Rick Boogs comes back.
I think Pat McAfee will dance like freaking crazy, for goodness sake. So nothing else to say. It's your Sledge.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's gonna be good. It's about 2.5. So we'll wait and see how it plays out. Next up, we got to get into this, guys, and it was a promo segment by the SmackDown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan. And you know what? I gotta say this. Going into this, I kind of feel like the fans turned on Liv. They started chanting, "You tapped out, you tapped out," and then Liv was like, "You know what? Okay, look, I appreciate the fans calling me out on my shit for what happened, and they censored it. Definitely not PG." But then she turned around and she's like, "Look, yeah, I tapped out, but the referee saw the shoulders down for the count of 3. But the fans were booing her. Some fans were booing her, not everybody, but you could tell some of the fans are not happy that Liv successfully defended the title the way she did. So I don't know, guys. Maybe this is their way of trying to turn Liv heel? Could we see a heel turn for Liv Morgan coming out? So that was very interesting to see. And then, of course, interrupted by Sonya Deville, which led to the big match, the big fight of the evening, which was a gauntlet match. And the winner of this women's gauntlet would receive a SmackDown women's title fight with Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales. The participants in that match were Raquel Rodriguez, Aaliyah, Shotzi, Xia Li, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and Sonya Deville. So it started with Aaliyah versus Sonya. Sonya won that match. Then it went Sonya versus Raquel, and Raquel Gonzalez Rodriguez won that match. Shotzi versus Raquel. Raquel stayed in there. She won. She moves on. Then we had Xia Li versus Raquel. Raquel goes through her. She moves on yet again. Natalya was up. Raquel won that match. So she got to the final, got to face the final where she had to face off with Shayna Baszler. The winner of the match in a total time of 21 minutes and 5 seconds. The new #1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship and the woman that will face Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle is Shayna Baszler. She wins it all. All right. I'm going to say this. The match wasn't perfect. There were moments where it was good, and then there were moments where they were bad. There was nothing in between. However, finally, Shayna Baszler gets a moment on the main roster. And it had to be until Triple H took over for this shit to happen. Shayna Baszler is without a doubt one of the most dominating women in NXT. She was one of the most feared women in WWE before she came up to the main roster. And then they bundled it, they fumbled it, they screwed it up, and they did not make her what she should have been all along. A bona fide monster, superstar, and a terror. She would make mincemeat out of Liv Morgan on any day. This is the moment where this is why Triple H being in as the head booker is actually better for the company. And here's the reason why. Shayna Baszler, who would never have gotten an opportunity in her life, get a shot at the belt or anything like that. The closest she ever came was with Becky Lynch, and that was right around WrestleMania, and she never got that payoff. Never got it until now. Now she goes to Clash at the Castle. Now she gets to fight for the SmackDown Women's Championship, a very vulnerable champion. Mirai May on that one. And with the way that this crowd went tonight, I really believe in my heart of hearts, I could actually see Shayna Baszler walking out of Glasgow, Scotland, the brand new SmackDown Women's Champion. Even though I think it would be unfair to Liv because of the fact that her reign was very short. It's going to be very short. But you notice the fans are turning on her. That is, in a way, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But one thing is for sure. When you got that going on, I don't know, man. I think it's interesting to see more than anything else. But we'll see how it plays out. But, oh, my God. What a game changer. 2.5 to 2 3/4. Like I said, it wasn't the best gauntlet match, but it was solid for what it was worth. Anthony, they got the right person at the end. Shayna deserves the shot, and she gets it.
Absolutely. And yes, you remember, it was almost 2.5 years ago. It was just before the pandemic started. It was the Elimination Chamber, Philadelphia. Remember that Elimination Chamber where Shayna Baszler eliminated everybody in that match?
She steamrolled it. A lot of people were pissed, but she steamrolled.
And she went on to challenge Becky Lynch, WrestleMania 36 in the Performance Center for the Raw Women's Championship. And we're all agreed she should have went over that night. She should have won the title. But they kept it on Becky, and it turned out to be a mistake because Becky ended up finding out in the 11th hour that she was expecting. So I think they definitely, as MF would say, screwed the pooch on that one. But at least they finally got it right here. And yeah, that Liv Morgan promo. I mean, it's sad because you remember Money in the Bank. How excited, how happy they were when she finally got her moment, when she finally became champion. And, that crowd in Vegas popped massively for her. And now they're booing her. Soundly booed out of the building by fans who sided with the injustice suffered by the baddest woman on the planet, Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Shayna Baszler has been such a non-factor outside of a so-so tag team title run with Nia Jax that it is easy to forget that she was one of the most dominant women in the industry. Her run in NXT ranks as one of the best in that brand's history and helped further elevate its women's title. I've gone on the record for this, and I'm going to go on the record again until I'm blue in the damn face. I consider her the most dominant and greatest NXT women's champion of all time. Yes, even better than Asuka. That's how dominant she was, even though Asuka had it longer, but still. Getting back to Shayna, her main roster struggles have more to do about how management viewed her than her ability to thrive on Raw or SmackDown. Her win here tonight, achieved by out-wrestling an opponent who was red hot and coming off 4 eliminations in this gauntlet match, should be a sign of renewed interest in pushing her from the new creative regime. Yes, the match itself as a whole was fine. 2.5 to 2 3/4. I agree with it. Some of the falls were a bit too short to matter. And Raquel Rodriguez's inconsistent selling hurt the psychology of the match at times. But the story of her dominance with Big Mommy Cool's 4 eliminations and Shayna Baszler out-wrestling her in the final seconds made up for it. And you notice Liv Morgan had a brace on her left arm, selling the effects of Ronda's armbar from SummerSlam. Fans chatted, "You tapped out," in response to the controversial finish to the match. And I appreciate, and MF said it. MF said her response. And on more than one occasion, Raquel no-sold the knee injury that was supposed to be a key story element of this gauntlet match. But 2.5 to 2 3/4, I agree that's the best, but there is not much more to say. Michael Bullock, you said there were 2 moments. Well, I think we need to make it 3, maybe even 4. But this is the third one right here. Shayna Baszler on her way to Cardiff, Wales, Principality Stadium, Clash at the Castle, Labor Day weekend, 4 weeks from tomorrow, with the biggest opportunity she's had in 2.5 years since challenging Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36 in that dinky performance center. But still, when it comes to this, the game strikes again. And for Shayna, in the case of Shayna Baszler, nothing more to say except it's about damn time.
Yeah, it's definitely about damn time that she gets this opportunity that she hasn't had since, like you said, since WrestleMania in that dinky Thunderdome. But I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to be crystal clear, and I'm going to be careful with what I'm about to say here, and it could get me in trouble. I mean, to these fans out here who wanted Liv Morgan to be champion, that were rooting for her, and now all of a sudden, because of a controversy that wasn't her fault, because quite frankly, the people that they should be the one that they should be booing is the referee, because he's the one that screwed it up. He's the one that didn't see Liv Morgan tap out. So, and now all of a sudden you're turning on Liv Morgan and saying, "Oh, you tapped out," and you're booing her. To those who booed her, screw you guys. I mean, you wanted to come out and basically you were cheering for her to be champion, and just because of something that wasn't even her fault now you're basically going to turn on her.
Fickle.
Yeah.
Fickle.
You guys are nothing more than a bunch of fickles. So get the you-know-what out with that nonsense. So, yeah, if they want to call me out on it, you know what? Who gives a damn? Period. End of quotation. End of statement. And as far as this goes, I'm going to give this about maybe 3 for the effort here. So there's really nothing more for me to say. That's just something I just wanted to get off my chest. If I get in trouble for it, I don't give a damn. Fletch, it's yours.
Oh, my brother, testify.
Yeah, no problem with that. I mean, All right, man. So with that said, let's move right on along. Next up we had was the Viking Raiders. They went up against 2 guys. I guess these guys were well known in the Jim Crockett production. I guess they were one of the best jobber teams, I guess, back in the day. So whatever the case may be, but the Viking Raiders won in the minute 35. Then I guess Kofi Kingston picked a fight with Eric, and Kofi won the match in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So we don't really need to talk about this. There is something we do need to talk about. All right. So this Monday night on Monday Night Raw, they are going to start the tournament. And now you're like, wait a minute, tournament? What tournament are you talking about, Mike? The tournament we've been waiting for. The one to determine the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. The tournament is actually going to happen, and the tournament starts on Monday. Anthony, we've heard a lot of rumors. However, it's actually happening, and Monday we start it. So, what is your initial thoughts of this announcement that we are indeed going to have a women's tag team tournament?
For the second time tonight, I simply say it's about damn time. How long has it been since Sasha and Naomi walked out? I think it was May? Was it?
Around May, yeah.
And they wait till now to address it. Gee, I wonder who was responsible for that ignorance. Oh yeah, McMagma. Thank you. So I think this was trips again. I think the King of Kings has struck again, boys. And all I can say is it's about damn time. The only thing we don't know as of right now,
we don't know who's in it.
We don't know who's in it. We don't know what the bracket looks like.
No.
I guess we're gonna have to wait until Monday night on Raw when we get to the Q in Cleveland, and in addition to Lashley and Ciampa for the U.S. title. I mean, you just made that show a little bit bigger, so definitely some ammo to work off there. And there is, we got to think here. I mean, who in the world could they throw in this? I mean, they're going to randomly throw together a lot of teams here. There's going to be a lot of random teams in this.
Well, obviously right off the bat, Doudrop and
Nikki ASH. Agreed.
I also think you're gonna see Dakota Kai and Io Sky.
I can see that.
I can see Alexa Bliss and Asuka. On the SmackDown side, now this is where it gets interesting. I don't know what they're gonna do. This is where anything can happen.
How about Natalya and Lacey Evans? With the way they've been booked as butthurt heels as of late,
I could see that.
Perfect.
I could see that
because they're both annoying, obnoxious heels.
I could see Raquel Rodriguez and maybe Aaliyah.
We also got to factor in Xia Li, maybe Shotzi. But I'll say this though, I think, I'm not the first person that's going on the record. Derek Ferreira did a brief video about this earlier, and I'm gonna echo his sentiments. It's also my sentiments exactly. And it's not often we agree with him anymore, but this is one case where I definitely do agree with our former colleague, and that is I believe in my heart of hearts this is where Sasha Banks and Naomi come back, and I also believe that Sasha Banks and Naomi will get their titles back.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident they win the whole thing.
Whenever that final match is.
If they show up and they're in the tournament, they win the whole thing. They'll win it.
It's done. It's over. So that, and if they're not, then it'll be very interesting to see the classic question: then who? If it's not them, but let's be realistic. It's going to be them.
Or do they have them? Or after the tournament is over, do they just show up and it's like, you know what? We're the real champions. We didn't lose the belts. Give us the shot. And then they take the belts right then and there. Absolutely.
So can't wait to see it. Cleveland. Let's give whatever match or matches. Let's give it the time they properly deserve, and we'll take it from there. So it's about damn time. Should have happened a long damn time ago, but that was obviously McMagma's ignorance and foolishness. That was the reason why they waited until now to do it. But the game, I think the the game finally had enough and said, let's get these things back up and running here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So can't wait to have it. Michael Bullock, I mean, about damn time once again. Should have happened a long damn time ago, but we're finally getting it. The women's tournament starts Monday night on Raw, and we already know what's going to happen. It's got to be Sasha and Naomi. Sasha and Naomi coming back, and they're going to take back what was rightfully theirs before they walked out.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's about damn time they brought this. I mean, these titles back because, like you said, I mean, we thought they were going to do this 3 months ago. I mean, when they addressed this, but obviously, thanks to Mr. McMahon's ignorance, he just decided, no, we're not going to address this. But thank goodness they finally did, and I'm interested to see what the teams will be. But I'm telling you, I think it's going to be Sasha Banks and Naomi as well. I think they're going to be the ones to take it. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on, Fletch.
All right. With that said, we go into the main event, which was the Roman Reigns segment. He was interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and then the bomb. So what happened next was the music started playing, and a woman stood on stage. We didn't know who it was initially, but we knew what happened next. Next up, it was Karrion Kross. He's back in WWE and beat the daylights out of Drew McIntyre. Laid him out, laid him in a heap. And then Scarlett comes with an hourglass, and the sands of time is now ticking on one Roman Reigns. Michael Bullock, you said it. Tick-tock. Roman, you may be the tribal chief, but Karrion Kross has made it very clear when it's all said and done, you're going to be like everybody else was in NXT. You're going to fall and pray. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Need I say once again, the game strikes again. Whoa. Yep. MF, you're absolutely right, MF. Bullock and I, during our Smackdown chat, we didn't know at first, but then once I heard the music starting to sound more familiar, I'm like, no, I'm like, wait a minute, is it? And then I'm like, it is Karrion Kross. A new look Karrion Kross. He's got hair now. The man has hair. He last time I remember, he was bald, but now he's got hair. So, and MF, you know this because you're going to get into this on your Mikey's Mindset in a little bit. He laid out somebody at Ric Flair's last match Sunday night.
He was actually in a match, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Oh, okay. He was in a match. Okay. All right. I stand corrected. But, all right. I'll say it like this. That is how you make an impactful debut. Not by overhauling a character that worked in NXT by throwing a skirt or a helmet on him, McMagma, but by letting him explode from out of nowhere and beat the hell out of a top guy. Kross instantly staked his claim to the main event scene and a potential shot at the top prize in the company all in one fell swoop. That Scarlett was by his side rights another wrong with the presentation of the character during his last run on the main roster. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, as well as Derek Ferreira, reported earlier in the day that the company was interested in bringing Karrion Kross back, but few expected it so soon and in such an enormous role. Suddenly, what felt like a rather one-dimensional title program has had life injected into it in the form of a wild card in Karrion Kross, who should freshen things up and provide Friday Night SmackDown with some much-needed main event depth. The return of the dragon graphic across the stage, the presence of Scarlett, and the hard-edged look of Kross made the angle. If Kross had simply attacked McIntyre, it would not have worked. This was an emphatic statement by management that this is the Kross who wreaked havoc in NXT, not the caricature that failed on Monday Night Raw. Scarlett producing the hourglass and taunting Roman Reigns as if to say it is only a matter of time before his run of terror comes to an end, made for a great visual. The head of the table's unfazed look hammered home just how unbothered by everything he is at this point. Segment of the night, no doubt about it. So, Michael Bullock, again I say, the game strikes again. And in the immortal words of good old JR, after what we saw tonight on this segment of the night, business has damn sure picked up on Friday Night SmackDown. Oh, we lost Bullock. I think he might have hit a wrong button or something.
Probably a wrong button. All right.
But MF, make no mistake about it. Your show was in desperate need of, fresh faces, especially in the main event picture. Oh, all right, there he is. There's Bullock. All right, Bullock.
Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally hit something.
Yeah,
but
business is damn sure picked up, big boy.
Yeah, business definitely picked up big time. I mean, Drew basically confronts his opponent at Clash at the Castle, Roman Reigns, and then all of a sudden, like you said, Floria, when we watched this, we were like, "Wait a minute, what's that?" And then you hear a familiar theme, and I'm like, "No way, is this who I really think it is?" And you see that, I'm like, "Is that Scarlett?" And I'm like, and then you see like it's Karrion Kross going after Drew McIntyre. I'm like, Triple H strikes again. I mean, first he brings back Dakota Kai, who was released by WWE, and then brings up Io Shirai, who was on the verge of getting released, and now you bring back Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Oh boy, I'm telling you guys, Triple H, the Triple H era right now is something that I'm freaking enjoying right now. They're making these shows as good as I think they're making WWE fun to watch again. And basically telling all those other wrestling companies who thought WWE was dead that we're back and we're better than ever. And basically, like you said, not only Karrion Kross sending a message to Drew McIntyre, but to the current undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, that time is ticking for his reign as undisputed Universal Champion, and as the head of the table. And Karrion Kross's first go around on the main roster was an absolute train wreck, and they didn't have Scarlett at all. And now with Triple H at the helm, he's fixing to make it right. So, segment of the night, and all I can say is, Fletch, business has picked up.
Yes, indeed. It has indeed picked up. So, with that said, Anthony Florio, you lead off on the overall review, and then I'll set up for a Rampage.
Fantastic, noteworthy close to the first real SmackDown of the Triple H regime, and his fingerprints were all over it here tonight. I got to give this in excess of. It's not going to be as high as Raw was. I mean, I thought Raw was just a smidgen better, to be honest with you. Not being a homer or anything, but I'm just telling it like it is. But this show is just as good. I'm going to give this in excess of 7.5 to 8 out of 10. One of the best Smackdowns we've had. This might be the Smackdown of the year. Who knows? Maybe not the Smackdown of the year, but I will say it was definitely the most newsworthy Smackdown that we've had in some time. You know, Ricochet getting built up again. Shayna Baszler with the biggest win probably since the Elimination Chamber in 2020, when she eliminated everybody in that match single-handedly. And then the close with Karrion Kross and Scarlett coming back. I still think Drew's going to ultimately dethrone Roman in Cardiff. McIntyre's going to get his crowning moment that he should have had at 36, but couldn't because of the pandemic. But he's going to get that British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith-like pop when he dethrones the Tribal Chief in front of over 70,000 of his fellow compatriots and fellow countrymen. So where Theory ties into all this, where Karrion Kross ties into all this, I think Karrion Kross could end up being possibly the first challenger. The first challenger for Drew if he wins, or maybe even the next challenger if somehow, some way, by the grace of God, Roman gets by Drew and steals one in Cardiff. But I think Drew's going to ultimately go over, and I think Karrion Kross could very easily be the first challenger. And the first pay-per-view after Cardiff, the birthplace of Extreme, Philadelphia, Extreme Rules, Columbus Day weekend, Saturday, October 8th. Those two in an Extreme type match, look out. That's all I'm going to say. So 7.5 to 8. Michael Bullock, like I said, this one had Triple H's fingerprints all over it from beginning to end. And if we're going to keep getting shows like this tonight and what we had Monday night on Raw going forward, this is the best WWE has been probably since the Ruthless Aggression era.
This is why I said, Florio, this is why I just said moments ago that WWE is all of a sudden becoming fun to watch again now that Triple H is at the helm. And if this is what we're going to be getting, I'm going to enjoy every bit of it. So, yeah, this Smackdown, I mean, not as good as Raw was. I'm not trying to say that Smackdown was bad. I mean, it was still a damn good show. I'll give it about 7.5 to 8 as well. I mean, there were some things I thought that could have been better, but it's definitely not going to take away from what we saw here tonight. Especially the ending with the return of Karrion Kross and Scarlett. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, everybody is still buzzing over the Karrion Kross, but more importantly, Scarlett finally on the main roster. So they kind of felt like they wasted her time, even though initially they left her behind to try to give her a singles push. But the thing is, she's more of a manager. Even though she has wrestled independently and everything else, but she has never had a major main roster move. You know, she was initially one of the managers with Jay Lethal in Ring of Honor, a part of the House of Truth. So you had that going on. Then you had them doing some other things. So, and then when she got with Karrion Kross, that became the power couple. They dominated NXT, her as the manager, him as the star, and we saw them winning the title, taking the belt, being a dominating champion, and then we were thinking, they're going to parlay that into the main roster, and the next thing you know, Karrion Kross goes to the main roster, Scarlett gets left behind. That was the first mistake. Then they literally fed him to Jeff Hardy, buries him by having Jeff go over, second mistake. And then the third mistake was the gimmick that they gave him. It was a horrible gimmick. Now we got the ultimate payoff. Karrion Kross is back, better than ever, more stronger than ever, and he looks more dominating than he ever did in his first WWE run. Ever did. So, and now he gets his partner in crime, his partner in life, by his side. Oh my God. And that visual of her turning that hourglass and that sand at Roman Reigns. Roman didn't seem too worried about it, but here's the thing. You should be worried, Roman, because every person that has had that time elapse on them have all fallen and prayed to Karrion Kross. Every single one of them. Is it possible that you're next? We'll find out sooner rather than later. 7.5 out of 10 for me. Let's go very quickly to AEW and Rampage. We started out with Jon Moxley. He went up against Menace Warner. And Moxley won the match in 11 minutes and 36 seconds. This was a solid opener. Great match. Solid battle. It was bloody. It was violent. It was everything that you expected it to be. But Moxley keeps a victory and he keeps rolling. So really nothing more to say. Anthony, solid matchup. I give this about 3 stars.
3.25 for me. They used some traditional wrestling moves here and there, but for the most part, this was a fist fight between two guys who really enjoy hitting people. Be a man fight. I mean, not the kind of match everyone will enjoy. It was energetic and chaotic, but there wasn't a lot of selling from either guy. So all of their big offense looked like it was having little to no impact after a second or two. And they sold a bit more toward the end, especially when Mance Warner began to bleed. But this bout still sacrificed a bit in favor of the mayhem that ensued. It was fun, but fell a bit short of expectations. And you notice this was a live show. I mean, Rampage usually opens with both competitors in the ring for the first match, but AEW was very smart to allow Moxley's full entrance to be shown for this one. And the suplex Moxley did that landed on the steel chair looked great. And I don't know what else there is to say except it was 3 to 3.25 stars. It was definitely a be a man fight, no question about that. Outcome was never in doubt. But hey, big opportunity for Mance Warner, who was one of the big winners as part of Ric Flair's last match on Sunday night. So MF will address that in a bit. But for right now, 3.25. Michael Bullock, if you love be a man fights like MF does, smash mouth, hard hitting, physical, in your face type matches, this was for you.
Yeah, this was definitely a be a man fight. And yeah, 3.25, and obviously a very solid be a man fight here. And obviously, you want to give Jon Moxley the momentum going into the AEW World Title match against Chris Jericho this Wednesday at Quake by the Lake on Dynamite. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. So it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, so then we had a throwaway match. I'm not even going to talk about it. We're just going to move right on along. Then we had Madison Rayne. Yes, Madison Rayne, one of the legendary from Impact Wrestling, former Knockouts champion. She went up against Leela Gray, and Madison Rayne won the match in 8 minutes and 27 seconds. And then Jade Cargill came out. Basically, one of the baddies tried to get her hands. It was Kara Hogan trying to attack Madison. That didn't work. That blew up in her face. And now, of course, Jade Cargill issued the challenge, or an open challenge, and begged Madison to take the match. Be careful what you wish for. You never, ever, ever want to issue an open challenge in any wrestling promotion, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to get answered. So just saying. Anthony Florio, Madison Rayne, very successful debut in AEW.
Absolutely. Give you my thoughts on this. Here's the thing. Madison Rayne is fresh off being hired as the head coach. She's going to be the head coach of the AEW women's division. And tonight made her in-ring debut for the promotion in a match against Leela Gray. Both women worked hard to make this match feel competitive, but you could also tell there was a bit of unfamiliarity between them. Most of what they did looked fine, but the stuff that didn't work stood out. Rain was able to hit her finisher to get the win in her first match on AEW TV, immediately confronted by Jade Cargill. The TBS champ invited Rain to accept her open challenge for the TBS championship on Wednesday Night Dynamite this week. And then another former Impactor, Kiera Hogan. And these two are no strangers to one another. They had many battles in Impact Wrestling. I should know. I saw them. Kiera Hogan tried to attack Rain, but it ended with her getting taken out. And while a lot of this felt rushed, it's nice to see the TBS title being featured again. It felt like AEW forgot about it for a while. And Stokely Hathaway is great at what he does at ringside with his clients, and it's so much fun to watch. Rain had a huge smile on her face at many points. You could tell she was excited for this. And there was an arm drag that Rain hit that could have been embarrassing had Leela Gray not adjusted and taken the move on the fly. Just to let Michael Bullock know who she is, because I don't think he saw her before tonight. Madison Rain, one of the greatest knockouts in the history of Impact Wrestling. 5-time, count it, 5-time Impact Wrestling Knockouts Women's Champion. Also a co-holder of the Knockouts Tag Team Championships when she was in the Beautiful People alongside of Velvet Sky. And one of the greatest knockouts of all time, known as the Killer Queen. And yeah, she definitely brought that tonight. And without a doubt, I believe she's going to be the toughest challenge for Jade Cargill to date. It would be an amazing story if Madison were to upend her and win the title and hand Jade her first loss, but I don't think that's going to happen. I still think it's going to be Athena, and I think it's going to happen at All Out next month in Chicago, Labor Day weekend. So we'll wait and see on that. But for right now, I will give this about 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star for the effort. So it was a treat for me to get to see Madison wrestle for the first time in AEW after almost 13 years in Impact Wrestling. So not much more to say. So Michael Bullock, now that I have gone professor mode and told you about Madison Rain, you got to see her wrestle for the first time. Whereas MF and I, we know her for the many years in Impact. So how did she look to you watching her for the first time?
I think she looked really good. Yeah, I'm very impressed with her, and I think she's going to be a real asset to the women's division in AEW. And yeah, I mean, Jade Cargill can. Yeah, I mean, be careful what you wish for. I mean, she could end the reign, but I'm with Florio. I just don't see it happening. I think they're going to keep it on Jade Cargill and make her an unstoppable champion. So, yeah. So, what was the time of the fall, Fletch?
I had 8:27.
Yeah, I'll give it about maybe 2.5 for the effort here. So, it's yours, Fletch.
2.5 for me, no doubt about it. We'll just move on. Main event, as it was Swerve in its glory versus Josh Woods and Tony Nese. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland wins the match in 12 minutes and 57 seconds. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give it about maybe. What was the time again?
12:57.
Yeah, this was the fight of the night. I'll give it about 3.5 stars here. I mean, obviously, this was a nice momentum win for the current champs here. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, I'll give this about 3.5. I thought it was a solid main event. The outcome was never in doubt, though. So, Anthony, quick thought.
Yeah, 3.5, fight of the night. These four guys, they're known as spectacular in-ring workers. They barely spent any time using the skills that made them famous. It was all about weapons, big spots, and violence. The most exciting and entertaining match of the night. Everyone showed up, put in a great effort, but Nese and Swerve may have stood out the most for their efforts. And despite having that Hammerneger jabroni Sterling there to interfere, Nese and Woods ended up on the losing end of this one when Swerve pinned Josh Woods. Nice using the protein powder as a weapon was hilarious. It's reminiscent of when Mr. Fuji, the late great Mr. Fuji, used to throw salt in the eyes of his opponents. And Swerve throwing a toolbox at Nice as hard as he could was kind of scary. The headbutt Keith Lee hit on Tony Nice looked awesome. Cameron was at that perfect angle. And the German suplex Josh Woods used to put Lee through 2 tables. Fantastic spot. 3.5 stars. Hands down the fight of the night. Overall review time.
Yeah, I give this about 7.5, 7 for the rating. I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, it was a little better, but not that great. It was still solid enough. So 7 out of 10. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, about 7, maybe 7.5, maybe more towards 7. The main event was far and away the fight of the night. The other, the Madison Reigns debut, and as well as Moxley's Be a Man fight, both of those were solid, not overly spectacular, but solid. And then we had the delicious squash with the Konosuke Takeshita over Ryan Nemeth, sending Takeshita up for big momentum as he challenges Claudio for the Ring of Honor World Title tomorrow night as part of Battle of the Belts 3 at the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I think SmackDown was just a smidgen better, if I'm going to be honest with you. So not often. It's been a long time since we said that, and go figure. This was one of the rare live Rampage shows tonight. So 7 out of 10 for this. Michael Bullock, take this home, and NMF will get into a very special Mikey's Mindset for Ric Flair's last match pay-per-view.
What did you give it, Florio?
7.
Yeah, I'll give it 7.5. I mean, I thought this was a good show, but yeah, I mean, SmackDown was much better than Rampage, which we haven't said in quite a long time. So, yeah, so there's nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, so here we go, guys. This is going to be the quick thought on the Ric Flair last match event that actually went down from the Nashville Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. And here we go, guys. So the first fight of the night, of the entire card. Listen to this matchup, guys. You want to talk about nostalgia, Anthony? You're going to feel it on this one. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns, and they went up against Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, the American Wolves.
Let's go.
Motor City Machine Guns wins the match in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Then we had Karrion Kross, but they called him Killer Kross, along with Scarlett Bordeaux. He went up against Davey Boy Smith Jr. one-on-one. Kross won the match in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Then we had a 4 corners match where the winner would be the number 1 contender for the Progress World Championship. They had Alan Five Angels, Takashi, Konosuke Takashi, Nick Wayne, and Jonathan Gresham. The winner in 5 minutes and 10 seconds was Jonathan Gresham. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because everybody's like, wait a minute, Progress. Well, that's a wrestling company in the United Kingdom. They're in the UK. So right now, currently, the Progress World Champion, let's see, hold on. Currently, the Progress World Champion is Chris Ridgway. He is the current champion right now. He has held that belt right now. Let me see. Hold on. Chris Ridgway is the current champion, and he's held the belt since he recently won it from Warren Banks. It was a Super Strong 16 style tournament, and the belt was vacated, and he won the belt. So he's now the current champion. But the reason why I made a thing about that, and what perked my ears when I found out that he won it, guess what company is partnered with Progress Wrestling? WWE.
What?
Yeah. WWE has a working relationship with Progress. Progress, you can actually watch on Peacock or the WWE Network around the world. All of a sudden, Jonathan Gresham gets a title match for that particular belt, and we all know, and it's been very public, about his fallout that he had with Tony Khan at Ring of Honor after he lost the Ring of Honor World title to Claudio Castagnoli and was buried in about 10 minutes. Do you think the Octopus takes the belt? Maybe that could be his way, maybe his ticket into WWE down the line?
With Trips running the show? Very possible.
Just a food for thought, folks. And if it actually does happen, you heard it here, right here at Cerebral Smack Talk. So, next up we had was the new Four Horsemen, Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson. They went up against the Rock and Roll Express. Now, wait, hold on. This was Ricky Morton and Kerry Morton. Robert Gibson was in their corner. The winners of the bout in 7 minutes and 40 seconds was the Four Horsemen. They won it. And yes, there was a little bit of some cheating along the way as well. Then we had a fatal four-way match. Triple A presented. Bandito, Laredo Kid, Black Taurus, and Rey Fenix. The winner of the bout in 11 minutes and 50 seconds was Rey Fenix. 5-star classic. This match was absolutely insane. Go out of your way to watch this fight. You love Lucha Libre. If you love Triple A, Sin Límite, this is the fight for you. This was absolutely amazing. This had the crowd on its feet chanting, "This is awesome," and "Fight forever." And up to that point, the fans were literally sitting on their hands. They weren't really into the event until this fight happened. This match woke the crowd up. And let me tell you, I was watching this and I was blown away. I absolutely was losing my mind over this match. And as a guy who follows Triple A very religiously, very closely, very intently, and to have doing this in Spanish with Carlos Cabrera and Hugo Semenovich on commentary, this was a banger. Without a doubt, one of the best matches of the night by far. Then we had a match. Anthony, you might want to listen to this because this had a lot of interest for you. For the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, Josh Alexander went one-on-one with Jacob Fatu. And for all you guys out there, Jacob Fatu was the longest reigning, and in many people's eyes, the greatest MLW World Champion there ever was. Right now, the current champion, let me see, who's the current champion? The current champion right now is Alex Hammerstone. Jacob Fatu, his reign was over 819 days as the MLW World Heavyweight Champion. He is the longest reigning champion in the history of the company. And he almost became the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. But Josh Alexander successfully defended the title in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Then we had a match. The Briscoes, Mark and Jay, they went up against the Von Erichs, Marshall Von Erich, and Ross Von Erich. And the Briscoes won the match in 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Then we had another match that had Anthony's interest. For the Knockouts Women's title, the champion, Jordynne Grace, puts the title on the line against the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo and Rachel Ellering, the winner of the bout, in 9 minutes and 5 seconds. And still, the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Women's World Champion, Jordynne Grace. And of course, in the main event, it was Ric Flair and Andrade El Idolo going up against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Ric Flair and Andrade wins the match in 27 minutes for the main event of the evening. Guys, we're done. So on Monday, we do it all over again with Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio. And he's got the usual Impact. He'll have during his Tony sake, he'll have Impact Wrestling. He'll have NXT Level Up,
and a preview, MF, of the Impact Plus special next week, known as Emergence. Yeah. And Josh Alexander will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship, and Jordynne Grace will be defending the Knockouts Championship against two very prominent opponents. I'll tell you who that is on Monday night.
And of course, the big one, Monday Night Raw. How are they gonna follow up the craziness that's been going down lately? Ciampa gets a shot at the United States Heavyweight Championship against Bobby Lashley, and we will officially start the tournament to determine the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions and so much more. We'll do that 11 p.m. Eastern. Anthony, the Tone 25 on YouTube at StreamYard.com. Until then, for Michael Bullock, for Anthony Florio, I am Michael Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody. So long for now, and we will see you all